The second Death Star was meant to be the Empire's final triumph. Bigger, more powerful, and far more terrifying than its predecessor. But in the Star Wars story we know, it wasn't finished in time. It became a trap, and ultimately, the trap backfired. But let's imagine a very different version of events, one where the Death Star wasn't a decoy, one where it was fully armed, fully operational, and ready to crush the rebellion once and for all. What would that have meant for the galaxy, for Luke Skywalker, for the very balance of the Force? This is that story, an alternate timeline where the Empire's ultimate weapon wasn't just finished, it was unleashed. Let's go back a few months before the Battle of Endor. Palpatine, sensing the growing strength of the rebellion and feeling tremors in the Force, becomes impatient. He accelerates the construction of the Death Star 2, redirecting vast resources from the Outer Rim and enslaving entire systems to complete the station. With increased pressure on Kuat drive yards, the Empire finishes the super laser, finalizes the internal systems, and deploys an advanced hyperdrive. The Death Star is no longer a half-built bait. It's a fortress, one that moves. With its protective shield and surrounding fleet, it becomes the Empire's ultimate insurance policy. In the canon timeline, the Rebels launch an all-or-nothing assault on the Death Star, believing it can still be stopped. But in this altered timeline, when Mon Mothma, Admiral Akbar, and the Rebel leadership learn the Death Star is complete, panic ripples through the Alliance. They can't afford to wait. They press forward with their plan, praying for a miracle. When the Rebel fleet arrives at Endor, it's too late. The Death Star isn't just operational, it's ruthless. As soon as the fleet drops out of hyperspace, the station opens fire. This time, there's no warm-up, no vulnerability. Mon Calamari cruisers are destroyed instantly. Squadrons of starfighters are vaporized before they can organize. The Empire's fleet tightens its net, and the Rebels find themselves hopelessly outgunned. Meanwhile, on the forest moon of Endor, the mission led by Han Solo, Leia, and their strike team plays out differently. With the station complete, the Empire has fortified the shield generator. Elite stormtroopers, walker patrols, and aerial surveillance make infiltration impossible. The Rebels are discovered within hours. The Ewoks, overwhelmed by Imperial tech and tactics, never get the chance to turn the tide. The assault ends in capture. Leia is wounded. Han is imprisoned. The shield never falls. High above the chaos, Luke Skywalker faces his destiny. He's delivered to the Death Star by Darth Vader. Just as before, Palpatine awaits. But this time there's no fear, no facade. The Emperor has already won. Luke is shown the burning remains of Rebel cruisers, the charred helmets of his friends. The truth is undeniable. The rebellion is dying. Palpatine once again tempts him, urges him to strike, pleads with him to feel the anger. But now he's not just testing Luke, he's trying to shape the future. Luke does fight Vader. Their duel is brutal, desperate, but it ends differently. Weakened by sorrow, distracted by loss, Luke is defeated. His lightsaber is taken, his spirit nearly broken. Back in orbit, Admiral Akbar is forced to make an impossible decision. With the Rebel fleet in disarray and their flagship destroyed, he orders a full retreat. Only a few ships escape. Across the galaxy, the Empire broadcasts the destruction. It isn't just a victory, it's a warning. Planets sympathetic to the rebellion surrender overnight. Resistance cells are hunted down. Entire species are enslaved or eradicated for aiding the Alliance. The fear once shattered by the destruction of the first Death Star is back, stronger than ever. Palpatine has won. With the rebellion shattered, Palpatine wastes no time reshaping the galaxy. He dissolves the last remnants of the Senate. Regional governors are replaced by Sith acolytes and dark-side agents. The Death Star becomes a roving executioner, punishing planets that hesitate to comply. Darth Vader, no longer torn between light and dark, becomes the right hand of absolute oppression. Entire systems tremble at the sound of his breathing. The Jedi, gone. The last embers of hope snuffed out. And yet, even the darkest night can't completely smother the stars. Leia survives her injuries. With help from an underground medical droid, she escapes custody during a prisoner transfer. Han and Chewie, battered but breathing, follow shortly after. Together, they vanish into the Outer Rim. Leia begins training, not as a Jedi in the old way, but in something new. She learns to balance her rage and pain with clarity and patience. She becomes a quiet force of resistance. From abandoned outposts and derelict freighters, a new network forms. Not a rebellion, but something leaner, smarter, harder to kill. The Remnant Light. Palpatine isn't content with control. He becomes obsessed with immortality. He begins experiments on Force-sensitive children. Kyber crystals are corrupted. Cloning programs are initiated. His scientists look for ways to transfer his consciousness. But one experiment goes wrong. A child escapes, one who can feel the Force in unpredictable, raw ways. This girl becomes a symbol of defiance, slipping through Imperial hands at every turn. Leia finds her, trains her, protects her. And the Emperor, he begins to feel the tremors of prophecy again. He thought he had ended the Skywalker legacy, but something is still stirring. Years pass, the Death Star is feared but fragile. The mobile station puts strain on its systems, its core is unstable, recalibrations are constant. Leia discovers a vulnerability, not in the weapon itself, but in the control systems, hidden within the massive cloning facility on board. With the help of Han, Chewie, and a small team of Force-sensitive survivors, they devise a suicide mission, infiltrate the Death Star, trigger the instability, and escape before it tears itself apart. The plan goes wrong. Leia confronts Vader. She speaks to him not as a leader, not as a warrior, but as a daughter. She tells him the truth about Luke, about how he died trying to save Anakin Skywalker. And for the first time in decades, the man inside the mask hesitates. As the station begins to collapse from within, the Emperor emerges, furious, consumed. He lashes out with lightning, destroys anything in his path. He demands loyalty, demands power. But Vader turns. He lifts the Emperor with the Force, dragging him toward the destabilizing Kyber core. The explosion is unstoppable. Father and Master vanish in a blinding flash. Leia escapes, barely. And the Death Star, the symbol of Imperial tyranny, is gone. With Palpatine and Vader gone, the Empire fractures. Regional commanders turn on each other. Civil war erupts within the ranks. Leia emerges from the shadows not as a rebel, but as a unifier. She helps form a new republic, one built not on Jedi or Sith dogma, but on balance. She teaches a new generation to use the Force, not to dominate or obey, but to understand. The galaxy, for the first time in a long time, breathes. The Death Star was complete. It ruled, it killed, but in the end it couldn't conquer the one thing the Empire never understood: hope. This alternate path, where the Empire had every advantage, could have sealed the fate of the galaxy, but it also shows us something else. No matter how dark things get, no matter how powerful evil becomes, there's always a crack, always a way through. Even a completed Death Star can't erase the light. So, what do you think? Would the galaxy have ever escaped the shadow of a fully armed and operational Death Star? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, like if you enjoyed the journey, and subscribe for more what-if tales from a galaxy far, far away. Until next time, may the Force be with you.